Let's see here. All right, we live, guys. Listen, man, I had to get this guy on. When I saw that this podcast was blowing up, the first guy that I saw with the truth telling was my quarterback, star quarterback. Don't get it twisted. The best quarterback I've ever seen, Kelly motherfucking Hall.
How you doing, Kel?
Kelly motherfucking Hall. Kelly, just before we even get into what we're gonna talk about, my man, tell the people how motherfucking good you were as a scrambling quarterback at Avery University, and how did you do the shit that you did?
You know, I was blessed with a lot of stuff, a lot of talent, a lot of good players that were around me. Even growing up as a kid, you know, I played with a lot of really, really good athletes that always put me into a competition chamber that said, you know, really was fight to survive. If you want to make a team, you had to impress. You had to do something that made that coach recognize and remember. Now, I got a name, Kelly. It's easy to remember it, but it's not something that makes you say, hey, I need this kid on the court or I need this kid on the field. So, you know, that really just fueled a drive to just, if something goes, you know, just in the moment, relax, let it happen. And sometimes you never know what's going to happen. Shoot, I've seen Miles Bennett and Terrence Owens and Travis Jones and Shaw Bowman make plays that you're just like, all right, there it is. That's 6.
Right. Now, I'll say one more thing and then we'll get right into it, man. Man, I remember Kelly. You just telling no football stories. I remember Kelly got hurt, man. We looked at the Detroit Lions after that. Kelly was carrying us, bro.
That was the same year that Derek Carr was going to be the MVP for the Raiders. And he broke his leg, and they lost, I think, like the last 4 or 5 straight. Limped into the playoffs and was, you know, first ticket home, man. You know, it was pretty devastating. Something,
right.
Same thing, you know. You see in the movie, you know, Boobie Miles get his knee blown out. You lose a star running back. You lose something that you're not expecting at whatsoever. Right. You know, we won that game. We're in first place. Everything's good. Everyone goes home. It's Halloween weekend. All of a sudden, everyone wakes up Sunday and my leg's open. And I'm sitting on the surgery table. You know, but life comes at you fast, man. And it really just kind of segues into the next thing, whether you're ready for it or not.
Right. Well, I'm all about the truth tellers. I'm all about the red pill content. And Kelly, you were one of the first back when it wasn't popular at all to speak on how corrupt the Democratic Party is. Even though they control the social media, the truth is still the truth.
Right.
Guys, the Democratic Party are not the answer. If you're looking for a handout, just know you're getting the knife in the back right after it. It's not going to be what you think it's going to be. And I guess we'll start off with this whole. I saw you post some funny stuff on your story. This whole Roe v. Wade and how the Black Supreme Court justice was one of the ringleaders in that. Go ahead and tell the people. Go ahead. I love that. Go ahead.
I'm a big Clarence Thomas guy. Mm-hmm. I believe that, you know, and just on a background, when I was 16 years old, the president of the United States got on national television and said the American dream is dead. You know, what hope you give a generation when they're not even out of high school and you're just straight up telling them the American dream is dead. And Clarence Thomas is someone that I look up to as shows that is the American dream. It doesn't matter who he is. All it matters is his understanding. He's a great mind. Doesn't matter what the outside of that mind contains. He's overcome a lot. He's overcome a lot of flack. And it still said, no, this is the interpretation of the Constitution, and this is still the Supreme Court, and this is still the law of the land, and this is how it's going to be. And we're going to right a wrong. This is the first time I've ever seen a federal government institution right a wrong that they've done. it's say, you know, I've seen a lot of other people. It is truly the biggest story of the last 50 years of our political time. So I got, Clarence Thomas is just, you can, and I like to give shots to Joe Biden as any time that I can, and Clarence Thomas memes are pretty good ammunition for that.
100%, man. Clarence Thomas, we both got to say, man, it was a decision that you kind of had to make. They tried to scare the justices. I feel like by leaking it, because I guess they thought, oh, they're going to do it. The mob was going to scare the Supreme Court justices, before. Because I heard about this months ago. I feel like that It was coming down the pipe, and Clarence was like, "Fuck that."
Well, and here's the deal. This is when I look at truth, I like to look at, like I was telling you earlier, the underlying things. As we are talking about, I asked a rhetorical question: who is the champion? Who is the main proponent of this decision? It's obviously Clarence Thomas. Who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? That's John Roberts. There has been a political shift somewhere in DC. You can feel. See, DC doesn't understand that. They don't understand the decisions that they make reverberate and go out through the entire country. From Los Angeles to Inglewood to Cedar Bluff, Idaho. It does not matter. It will eventually reverberate out just like a ripple. And that's a big thing that is being taken note of. Seems like there is nobody at the helm now. And I made a pretty big tweet. It actually a couple of days ago. Every team, football, every team that has two quarterbacks has no quarterback. And if we, we have two, it just, there's a lot of more than just a legal interpretation that came out of Friday.
Right.
And it's still fresh. You know what I mean? It's still fresh. It's only been 2 days. I know people are pissed off. I haven't seen anything too crazy yet, but who knows what'll happen.
Now, something I want to touch on, and like I said, I'll tell you my philosophy so you can comment on that as well. I honestly feel like, and when I talk to black people, a ton of them vote Democrat, a ton. And I don't think any of them are liberal. It's like black people as a whole are very conservative a lot of times. Like if you look at the values,
right?
It's a weird dynamic. I'm like, why are we giving all our votes to the Democrats? Now, the Democrats were offering us something. I get that, but they got the Asian hate bill. They don't really care about black people. I mean, they don't care about us to the point where 90% of us need to be voting for them. I'll put it that much. And Kelly, you, like I say, super big athlete, bro. He one of the brothers, bro. Kelly is down with a ton of brothers. Can you give some black people some advice on why they should consider, maybe at least considering the Republican Party? Because it looks like to me, the way the Democrats is going, listen, today's Republican is 2002's Democrat, all right? It just is what it is. And today's Democrat is somewhere in space. I mean, how many black guys that is for the LGBT movement?
That aren't active, I guess, participants.
That aren't participants, yeah.
I mean, not that I know personally.
not black people as a whole, especially black men, y'all conservative, bro. like well, I know the parent. Yeah.
Let me touch on, because to get out of the party lines, you can be economically conservative, fiscally conservative, socially conservative, constitutionally conservative. Just means, in a sense, of preservation.
Yes.
Of whatever is going. It could be the status quo. It could be the business operation, whatever have you. So being conservative shouldn't, and I'm seeing it a lot too. It's the taboos kind of getting away from it. And now the taboos kind of going toward on the left side, where hey, you guys are just out of your minds right now.
Right.
That's where, you know, you look at Elon Musk, the Overton window has shifted now. Do we want to be 2022 Democrats in 2040? That is where don't fall into the party deal. I'm a big third party person. You know, when it comes down to heads or tails, you know, you're gonna pick one. But I'm a big third party, and the Democrats just like to give substance or nothing of substance. But I always like to say you can either get stabbed in the front by them or you get stabbed in the back by the Republicans. Because just look at the Republican senators as an example. And it is going to be tricky to see how each of them get reformed as a party now, and where people will fall. It's just going to be a matter of what are your core values? Because like you said, if people just sit back and reflect and go, this is what I wish in my life. What are you guys trying to bring to the table? And you just see some crazy out of the left thing. You're like, well, that's not really what I'm worried about. I'm worried about how I'm going to pay for food on the table. I'm worried about how, you know, am I going to get an accident on my way to work because the highway has 16 different potholes or whatever. The illusion can play both sides as well.
Right. Now, and I'll touch on something else for you, Kelly. When we look at this whole Democrat and Republican issue, guys, look at the Democratic states and look at the Republican states. It's night and day. It's the radical. Now, I mean, there are some good Democrats. The moderate ones are okay. The ones that are like, you know, Republicans are here and these Democrats are just voting Democratic, but they're moderate. But right. The crazy liberals, guys, they are multiplying. Like this is like they're becoming the norm in the Democratic Party. When you look at California, straight shithole.
Right, and everybody, people are leaving out and taking it with them,
and going to Texas. Everybody from Cali is leaving Cali and going to the where. You know what I'm saying?
San Francisco just moved to Austin. That's all it is.
Right.
They lost.
Right, and I'm gonna tell you, I've never voted Republican. This last election, I didn't vote, and I'm leaning, man. Kelly was the first person that opened my eyes to it. He caught the backlash like Jesus Christ. But Kelly was posting stuff. People were saying, "You're crazy." He said, "Hey, that's the truth." Click. He was posting it. I said, and I respected that about it.
What are them gas prices at today?
What them gas? You called it.
When I was posting, it was $179, and I was filling up for $20 a week.
Facts, man. Facts, Kelly. Listen, man, the truth is the truth. I don't care how you slice it, guys. And I'm gonna touch on this too. We're about to be in a war situation. Hey, I want a Republican in while we at war. I don't give a damn what you think. You can cut it how you want. I ain't trying to have Joe Biden eating ice cream leading World War III. That's just my opinion. Putin's on a horse, right? Look at the pictures of Putin. We got Joe Biden falling off bicycles right now, man. Right now, ride the goddamn bicycle, Joe Biden. Come on, man.
I'd rather have somebody to get us away from going into one. And there's only been one other person in my lifetime, and I know people are, you know, still divided on the issue. But if you look at policy matters. You know what I mean? Like in the locker room, your result is going to speak for itself. And now, after some time, people can look back and go, all right. But both sides really, I mean, you can have what the left doesn't even have. I mean, they're gonna try to run Joe Biden again up until the very last minute. I know they don't want to, but that's what they're gonna say for their public face. Who you got on the Republican side? DeSantis? We're a stronger America as DeSantis as a governor rather than running at 42 years old or whatever. But there's really no, you know, and that's where Barack Obama came in. He came in, it was a dead field. Who was going to win? Hillary Clinton. All of a sudden, a charismatic man comes in and runs with a platform and an actual plan of movement at the time. That's where I think you could see another deal like that, another political figure in that manner kind of rise up out of nowhere. Because essentially that's what Trump did in 16 too, because the Republican field in that was just, oh gosh, you look back at that, even growing up, in a conservative household, you're like, oh my God, really? That was it? Times are changing, man. And as generations grow up and we go through our own things, you start to see the change for what it comes, as I like to put it.
Right. I will say this, man. The way George Bush handled 9/11, perfect. He won't play in no games. He
got everybody on board on the same mission, no matter where. This is where we're going, and everyone at Pentagon, Congress, the population, everyone was on board.
Right. No matter what people say. I mean, George Bush is, maybe a lot of people don't like him, but at that moment, that was what showed me during a time of possible war, you need a man in office. All right. We don't need the games. People like Joe Biden. We don't need that right now. And even you people that are a Democrat and diehard Democrat, keep your eyes open, man. This shit is serious out here. We don't need, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times,
what's going on?
Say it again.
We don't know all the stuff that goes on a day-to-day deal that will affect us until somebody publishes it weeks, days later.
Right. Because I don't know if you noticed, Joe Biden snuck in some gun reform right behind the Roe v. Wade. I'm like, what the hell was that, Joe? Like, this is not the time to be.
That was the Senate that passed that bill, and it's crazy how all right, one thing goes one way, and now all right, there was a little give and take in the situation, and that's how DC games the deal. All right, we'll lose this, but we'll compromise on this, or we'll win on this, but we'll have to take a loss on this. And it's crazy how they vote on stuff they don't even read it. What people in the working class have a job if they're handed something that they have to read and do, and they don't read it? How long are they going to be in that job for? It's crazy how rules for thee but not for me.
Right. Kelly, I have to say, what is your take on gun control, and are you pro-gun?
I'm pro Second Amendment because I'm pro Constitution. So fundamentally, I would be pro Second Amendment. As far as gun ownership, I mean, it's just that if it's written in the Constitution, that's the way that this is the United States of America. That is the law of our land. And as a fundamental constitutionist, that's what it is. And I'm glad that they ruled on that way. So it says that you don't need the state. The federal government says the state can't interfere on something like that. That's how it is. So now it's basically constitutional carry.
Right.
Just like I agree. And then on the inverse of that side, just like I believe with RoeVWade and that ruling that came out on Friday, it's for each state to decide, because the word abortion isn't in the Constitution. And it says all powers not regulated to this specifically stated for the federal government must go back to the states. So now it's between Illinois and Iowa, what they want to do, or Texas and Oklahoma, because you can go to if you live in California or DC or Chicago today, nothing has changed for you. They have laws on the books that you can still that abortion is legal. So if you're in San Francisco right now and you're crying about the fact that Friday's ruling came down, it has no effect on you. You live in California,
and they still burning it down,
and they're still gonna go crazy and absolutely just lose their minds and sit in and not just have a temper tantrum
Right.
for the summer. And then October will come here. This is election year. October will come. And RoeVWade will be so far back, nobody will even know what's going on. It's something will come. Something will come, and it'll hypnotize the people that the swing voters.
Right. I just want to know one thing from you, Kelly, and you're a very knowledgeable man. I love speaking with Kelly. What the hell does rioting in California do for Texas or for the like when they riot in California, when everything in California is the same? What are they trying to get out of that? Like, what is the purpose?
To me, it feels like they're just acting out. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said earlier, when you tell a generation, specifically like millennials, because I believe that, you know, Gen X just kind of laissez-faire and said, just leave us alone. We're just going to be here. I'm in the party in the corner type deal. But, you know, for millennials, and now that we're, you know, we already saw Occupy Wall Street movement get disheveled and dismantled. We've already seen, you know, basically 2 recessions. And I think there's that one meme, like, you know, you've lived for like 3 decades, like all that stuff about millennials. And you're starting to see they're running out of room of, I guess, hope and whatever, especially in the cities. Because if you're in the cities, it's just, it's that hive mind deal where you're just running around in the rat race, right? Probably renting, only trying to, you know, work up the corporate ladder and all this. And then somebody comes up to you and says, you're supposed to be mad about this. All right, what do you want to do? Just be mad. And who knows? I mean, it to me, it doesn't make sense. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like now they've kind of understood that. And I'm from, you know, even DHS is running out stuff about warning churches and pro-life centers out of this. So it's not, it ain't going to be AutoZone, Target, and Wendy's this time around.
That's facts. Now more about you, Kelly. Did you grow up as a Republican, or did you have to take the red pill or get your eyes open yourself, or kind of give us a little history on you and how you came to understand?
I mean, I grew up in a conservative household.
Hold on. We got C. Will in here. C. Wills. C. What's his name? What is C. Will's name? A football player that played with us just commented. He said, "I know that ain't who I think it is. That's Johnny Manziel, baby. Hey, Johnny Manziel in the flesh. Hey, the road. Oh, yes. C. Will played with us. Anyway, go ahead. Continue. You had a comment.
No, but it was just you know, I went through a, I guess, libertarian phase. I went through where I thought I was a moderate, because it all just mattered. Yeah, I'm big on the policy. If the policy is what is best for the citizens of America, well, then that's where the policy should go. Bottom line. And you know, when 2008 to 2014, when it was about good policy, I was agreeing a lot with what somebody who would identify as a Democrat would be. But then after about 2015, you started seeing that window kind of cutting over a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And at that point, you know, each person's got to come to their saying that this is where my hard line is, and you know, I'll compromise only so far. So, right. You know, even now, I really like to say it's more of a populism ideology rather than a Democrat Republican.
Right.
On those two things, there's 2 sides. That's it.
100%, man. Now, listen. Are you a religious guy?
I was raised in a Catholic household.
Catholic household. How much does that play a part in your conservative beliefs at all? Just let me know if that plays a part in it.
It ties into like some of the stuff, like with RoeVWade. I do base that from my religious upbringing. Um, a lot of it's just, there has to be morality and there has to just be logic in it, in a decision or in a policy or in a way that I'm thinking about something.
Right.
If it's something that's really, really heavy or something like that, then yeah, I may turn into a spiritual or religious side of things. But most of this stuff could be just simply economics, right? It could be simply just a sign of respect too, where that's just common, simple knowledge, simple logic. It really doesn't have to tap into a whole spiritual or religious kind of thinking.
Right. Now, the reason I say that, you're a very masculine man. I've seen you fight guys way bigger than you in the football field. Remember we had that practice, boy, you put them up like Popeye. Listen. How important is masculinity to you? Being a man, doing what you got to do, and also, do you believe in marriage? Do you believe that value should be upheld? Just because a lot of people, when they think of being a man, they think, oh, shooting somebody, stabbing somebody, hurting somebody. How do you feel about men just handling their business, and do you support marriage in the modern day? Just go give me some thoughts on
well, that ties back to your earlier question. I believe in the sanctity of marriage because of my religious upbringing, and I do believe that if you're going to make those vows and make that commitment to somebody, that is for life. That is, your rib. If you want to go deeply biblical or whatever. But as far as being, masculinity and stuff, I think that's one of the first things that is taken down on society in the last 10 years. We've seen a kind of attack on it by not necessarily promoting it in an overt way, like, Rambo 80s style, but, there is, and you played with us in that locker room, and you beat man, that was our motto. And it wasn't be cool, be swag. It was, you're going to get your shit done. You're going to be able to present yourself to people. You're going to be able to represent the program. You're going to be able to provide for a family. You're going to be able to make it through life and be your own and be a positive member of society. Those are the things that I think truly does, because that was a really good ideology, and it changed a lot of kids' lives that came in that locker room. I think everybody came in there one way, and because of that preaching and those principles, they came out a different way. And I think more for better than worse. And it's those where, the nuclear family is a good thing. That's that's something that somebody can say, this is mine. This is what I'm proud of. I've built this. This is what I have achieved in life. But in our generation, it just seems that they tie that same thinking to materialistic things. This is my watch. This is my, new phone or whatever. But I'm big on it. I do think marriage is a key component in creating a good and happy life for people. If it's with the right person, that's just the only thing. It's like, good luck.
Well, explain the good luck part. Is it hard to find a wife in this day?
Well, it's just, I think it's fine. I mean, for women, I think it's probably hard to find a husband. At the same time, I think that, when society is so polarized, then especially on two different lines, then you're just going to see natural rifts. I mean, I see a lot of people who I know get married, but they were already dating, for a while at that point, that have just recently got married.
Right. Hey, give me just a sec. Amador, join, man. Hit the link and join. Yeah. My buddy Amador. But anyway, go ahead. Continue what you're saying.
So I mean, I think people got, there's a lot of stuff that people are worrying about in their day-to-day lives that they're trying to figure out, that you don't see a big social dating scene, and you don't see a big social push for people to get married. at the same time. So,
and I'm gonna say this with this Planned Parenthood decision. I mean, with this Roe v. Wade decision, they better be getting married, getting ready to raise these kids.
well,
Yeah,
these people are going to make better decisions, better lifestyle choices too.
Right. Mm-hmm. It could be a positive. You're right. Yeah.
It could be a very good positive. It could be, I think also with the whole, it may ease people's minds. Hey, I'm not trying, I've really got to focus on things now rather than just be free for all and running this stuff. So it could be a positive change. I think but Planned Parenthood, what are they going to lose all that funding in those states and and close those clinics? That's what I think is still to remain to be seen, because the laws have gone into effect, but I don't think that I haven't seen any, Planned Parenthood getting kicked out of Oklahoma just yet.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing it in the dead of night.
Another thing I'd like to ask, and this is huge. You white or Hispanic?
I'm white.
You white guy?
I'm Irish.
You Irish?
I'm Irish. Yeah.
Explain that, because you got that look, that Conor McGregor look to you.
I mean, I don't know where he's from in Ireland, but yeah, I'm Irish, and we haven't had the greatest of times in America, and with society and stuff like that when my family first came over here. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Right, I can just tell something different about you, man. Like, when I'm playing football with you, it's not like I'm playing with. I just gotta say, you got an edge to you, and I always knew. I was like, I didn't know what you were, man, because you would get mad. All of a sudden, I see your eyes turn red. I said, "What the hell?" Look like Conor McGregor, and I didn't know what. 4th and 10, hey, bro, you would run through a brick wall back there. What is up with that Irish heart y'all have? Where does that come from? Or y'all just fighters, man? I mean, give it to.
We on an island, man. You gotta fight. Islands are easily conquered, man. If you don't fight for it, you're screwed.
Do y'all drink a lot?
What are you gonna do? Swim?
No, I got. We're gonna go deeper in this. I know we're going crazy. We going crazy topics, but what is y'all's relations with British people? Tell us that, because I know Irish is by itself. Are y'all one country, a separate country?
Yeah. So Northern Ireland, I think, right, is part of the United Kingdom, but that is a split based off of religious lines between the Catholics and the Protestants, I believe. Yeah. Don't fact check me live time, but I think it's the Protestants. But and so my family is originally from Ireland, way down in the south, I believe.
Okay. Have you ever visited them?
Separate entity, never part of the UK, never will
be. Somebody said LMFAO, this ninja fighting on islands. Yeah, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, I was just thinking about the other day. It amazes me that Florida never took the Bahamas in some capacity. Like North Carolina, we got the Outer Banks, but like Bahamas are right there next to Miami.
Oh, Amador in here. Let me see how we can get y'all both on here talking. Let's see. Screen layout. Y'all kind of new to this thing.
Yeah.
Amador, what's going on, big fella?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Listen, Amador, listen. This is my boy right here, Kelly, man. He was the star quarterback of my football team.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, brother?
My college football team. He's I like to call him Kelly, the 4th and 10.
Why did we find ourselves in that freaking position so many times?
I have no idea. Oh God, let's see.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But Amador, man, like we'll touch on you a little bit too about this whole thing, man. Once again, Kelly. With this whole Roe v. Wade, man, give me your opinion. And let me see if I can get you big on here. Maybe shit. Let me see. Yeah, that's fine. Give me your opinion on this whole Roe v. Wade thing that came down, man.
Me?
Yeah.
Man, I think it's bullshit, bro. I think it's dead ass bullshit. You know, I feel bad for women. It's terrible. You know, as a son, as a brother, as a husband. It's true what a lot of people are saying. I feel like we're going backwards. You know, like because I feel like this is just a testing ground to the floodgates of what's to come.
Right now, I wanted to ask last time. Are you religious? I know a lot of Hispanics I know are Catholic. Not at all.
Not at all.
Okay, okay.
Not
And
at all.
with Florida? Is it banned in Florida because of this?
So Florida right now, as far as I know, it's still like on the ropes. They still haven't like fully decided.
Right.
At least last I checked, I gotta check and see what's going on right now. But yeah, it's we're like one of those states that we're like up in the air about like what's gonna happen. But we are a red state, so you know.
Right. Well, we got two different sides. We got Kelly, who very conservative guy. We got you, that's more a little bit more liberal thinking. And I gotta say, we in here like Captain Planet. We got a black guy, a Cuban, and a white guy. I mean, what other podcasts make this happen?
That's a good podcast right there.
That's a good. We out here like Captain Planet, man. Let's pick it up. Abado, you still there? Now, now that I got versatile ideas in here, at the end of the day, man, we all fighting for the same thing. We're all trying to make America the best we can, and I just love to see that we all can be in here and just. Somebody said 18 weeks only in Florida, or you are a baby mama. What is it? I don't know.
And I think North Carolina up here is the same deal. Only Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, obviously, and I think it's going to end up being like Louisiana and Mississippi are going to go full like hard illegal bans,
Mm-hmm.
and then most of the states that trigger laws go into effect where there is a time period, not as short as Texas's was originally. Oh, I'm sorry, was originally, and I think there's only probably about up to 20 or so states that have gone and done something in ruling had a trigger law go into effect.
Right. Now, something I've thought about this. It's like, and like we was talking about talking to Kelly earlier about with the whole rioting in California. If you're in a state that doesn't allow abortions, you can just drive to another one, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I think
State you're traveling to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it depends on, theoretically you could have it be legal in California, and you get it legalized in New York, and you can travel to California. But if every single law in between New York to California has a law on the books that says you can't travel through for those intended purposes, it really will depend on what area of the country you live in.
Yeah.
Right.
They were also trying to make it so that certain states would give up people, almost like an expedition. Like how you try to expedite, you try to get somebody, or not expedition, but like they'll send you back to your state to like face crime.
Oh, extradition.
Extradition. Thank you. That's the word.
Oh yeah, especially those. I know Texas and Oklahoma for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Extradition clauses.
Yeah, which is crazy because at the end of the day, that's a violation against your primary care. Like what you talk to about with your doctor should be your problem and the doctor's. But the fact that they're trying to push it so that you don't even have HIPAA rights is insane.
Well, nobody had HIPAA rights for vaccination just 18 months ago.
That's true. And then that was the argument, right? Their body, their choice, and now all of a sudden,
well, we didn't. The federal government didn't allow that. It was Clarence Thomas himself who ruled that it was federally unconstitutional to mandate that federal workers get the vaccine, and private companies still have that. So it just got passed through. The federal government kind of just wiped their hands clean once the ruling came down. And there are still corporations to this day where you cannot work in violation of what you're saying, the HIPAA.
Absolutely. But I think it's a huge difference between something that's infectious and can kill people as opposed to a woman and what they do with their body. Because at the end of the day, just you can stand next to a woman and she can cough and sneeze. You're not going to get pregnant.
Right.
So there's a huge difference between a woman choosing what she wants to do with her body as opposed to somebody who can potentially walk into a room and infect, kill half, and maim the other half because of an infection. Now, granted, I still agree that, yeah, it's their rights. And
COVID, man.
Yeah.
Man, this is and this is seeing y'all talk respectfully of both sides, man. This is what people need to do is communicate. This like the points that y'all are making back and forth.
Well, here's the deal. I don't know you from Adam. You're gonna go at the end of this call and go about your life in this country, right? So we're still going at the bottom line, the same deal. We'll just have different opinions on how we'll approach it. Now, I am just not overtly religious, but I do have a religious upbringing, and so that's where you said you weren't. I am, so that's where we're coming at this differently, I believe. And there's nothing to it.
But it is true what Eric says. It's nice that people can, with different backgrounds, have a sit down and just have a communication and have an open line, a conversation without necessarily being at each other's throats or pushing their agenda on each other, and that's always nice. It's always nice to just have mutual respect and an open line of dialogue.
Right. And that's why I said, a lot of times I have, females on sometimes. The fact, this is my first time doing this where I'll try to get different perspectives on at the same time. And I love the Democrats that aren't too far left, and I love the Republicans that aren't too far right. We can have this discussion because we all really just want the same thing.
We're called we're all in one group. We just don't realize it yet.
Yeah, like I really wish they would make a party that was like in the middle, where like the actual logical and moderate people could just, cut out the crazies in both parties, and we could just talk like this, because that would be the perfect party for everyone. Just in the middle.
You can just reform your own parties. Just look at the platform. The platforms are really just kind of how, like I said, how you're differently approaching things. You're either preserving and conserving what you're doing, or you're trying to progress the meaning to something that goes right. So, in order
we got you in here, Gangish. We got you in here. By the way, go ahead.
In order to keep, that, like you said, the crazy out of it, it's really going to be on the people, on the voters, to understand who they're voting for. Now, primary season, it was the point to do it, and that's wrapping up here pretty much shortly. But you can still make, especially at the local level, if you vote in your local elections, you can find and form and then start bringing everything in together into where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, right. Or we can have politicians wear NASCAR tracksuits so we can see who sponsors them really.
Woo, that's pretty nice. Yeah.
That'll be nice.
It's got the labels on it,
Yep. They can wear their suits, but I want to see a patch of who's paying for it.
Right. Like,
hey, Gangish, unmute yourself if you can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, tell us your opinion, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we got the Captain Planet panel, baby. The Captain Planet panel. Go ahead, give us your perspective, Gangish.
Well, I had to jump on whenever I heard Amador. It says Albert, but I heard Amador, right? That's your name, Amador?
Yeah. That's my last name. That's just because
military. Hey,
yeah.
Okay, so I heard Amador make a statement, and I heard this statement before, and what he said, well, and you'll hear about this with gun rights. They'll say, well, those guns could kill people, but it's a baby. It's a right. You know what I mean? He said the same thing, the distinction between the vaccine and the baby. And he says, well, maybe a vaccine could hurt you, but a child is just a baby. Human beings are the most deadly thing on the planet. So arguing that we should just let women just have whatever they want. I mean, they grow up to be monsters. So I don't think. I just don't feel that that's a fair argument. I understand there's a bunch of good arguments for abortion, but I don't think that's a good one, because human beings without fathers can grow up to be something serious.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's also a good old saying that a child that doesn't have the warmth of the village will return and burn that village down to feel its warmth. But in regards to human beings being monsters, I mean, at the end of the day, we're parasites living off the planet, and at one point or the other, the planet can choose to just kill off we can kill off the host, and then we go along with it. We don't seem to really give a shit about that either. But it all comes down to it. The abortion thing, it's a tricky situation because none of us have uteruses. We can't say anything. I've never had a period in my life. None of you have ever had a period in your life. I don't know what it's like to carry a child. I only know what it's like to raise a child. That's it. And there's plenty of women out there that they can make 120 valid arguments as towards why they should have an abortion. And there's plenty of us that can sit here and discuss why they shouldn't have one. But at the end of the day, I mean, would you want somebody who's not in your gender representing what you should and should not receive as a form of care? I wouldn't. I don't want somebody who's never had testicles tell me what I should and shouldn't do with my testicles.
Is that what you tell the doctor?
Yeah.
Whenever the doctor says, "Sir, you have cancer," you say, "Well, doctor, have you ever had cancer?" And he says, "No, I've never had cancer." And you say, "Well, please go find me a doctor that's had cancer. I don't."
Well, that's a different situation. Cancer is a different thing altogether. It's a growth.
I'll bring it to you this way.
Okay.
If you're living in California right now, what happened on Friday really has no bearing on you. Mm-hmm. So who are we really upset for? Somebody in Texas? Well, it's the United States of America. They can move. I understand that maybe you can't say everyone can just pick up and go, but it's not the federal government coming down and saying it's gone for everybody. You can never do it. It's up to each state. Now it's going to be up to citizens of the United States to figure out where they want to be. Maybe like we were talking earlier, maybe you change your lifestyle. Maybe you change your address. Maybe, I don't know, you change, like they say about back alley abortions. I mean, I imagine there's probably going to be some kind of things that are against what's on the books.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impact shot, and it's an election year. We've just got an impact shot. I think it's not going to be as so dire and clean cut, taken away right off the bat. It's just a ruling, and it gives it back to each state, and it's up to those people in those states. Now, if somebody wrote a law, if a trigger law went into effect now, is it not feasible for people to go vote in November and change that once the next term is started in January? I mean, that's what the Constitution says. You can go back and change if something is outdated or a decision is made, that you can go back and do it. I think it's just in this moment of impact, there's kind of a fog of what's going to go from here, and everyone's kind of trying to figure it out. But it seems that the people in California are the most pissed off. The people in DC, where it's on the books, are the most pissed off. It's like, well, what are you pissed off for? I understand having empathy for somebody else in the same situation, but when it comes to laws, that I just don't see. I don't see it shouldn't get to a crazy discussion as to where it's going to go, and let that avalanche kind of go, because it really isn't as bad off as it seems, I believe.
Right. I'm gonna say this. When you look at it, guys, this is probably one of the, and this is why I talk about this. Usually I talk about relationship advice and relationship tips, but when this came down the pipe, I said I want the three most knowledgeable people I know, the most level-headed motherfuckers. Hey, what a cigar, Alberto. This is a cigar.
I'm inside the house, bro. I'm not allowed to smoke inside the house. I'm not.
Exactly. I had to get the realest niggas out there, because I'm like, man, this is the biggest decision that in my lifetime that has came down the pipe when it comes to United States. I mean, the overturning of this, it gives the power back to the states, but also where do we go from here? I mean, do you think they could go and overturn other things?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I
Go ahead, Gagish. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah,
Whoever.
are they me? Or,
Yeah.
Okay. Are they going to start overturning other things? I don't believe so. Like what? I mean, is there something that is in?
there was a concurring opinion on, and I forget the cases, but it's basically reproduction, same sex marriage, and one other, I believe. Same.
Yeah.
So there was more. There was
That,
more to
it
the
was an
bill.
interpretation to open the door to basically, I guess, review the process in which they were approved.
With
Yep.
so they're going to review some of the sex and gender stuff or make some decisions on this, basically.
The
Right.
the door's there. I don't know if it's open. I don't know if anybody's walking in, but now there's a door.
Let
It
me
was-
ask you guys something, because I hear a conspiracy theory, and this is one that I'm starting to ascribe to. I'm starting to believe that I think Joe Biden has just he's not he knows he's going to lose. So what he's doing is he's just like we'll just do everything that we want to do, and I'm not going to get elected anyway. So who cares? So I'll just burn the place down as I go.
Loot the ship as it goes down.
Yeah, well, pass everything you want. You got a green agenda? Pass it.
You
Who cares?
said he knows he's going to lose. I'm surprised he knows that because he doesn't know where he is how to ride a bike. So at least we're progressing on the way up there.
Yeah, but
there's one other part to that. Okay, so if he's doing that and burning down the whole place as he's leaving, is it possible SCOTUS is doing the same thing? They've got a 6-3. They know they've got a 6-3. Pass it. Start passing it. And the reason why is because this is an election year, and they know Biden screwed up so bad that nothing is going to be able to turn around the Democrats' loss in the midterms. So we can pass. If I'm a Republican, SCOTUS right now, I can pass whatever the hell I want. Biden's lost.
Well, you can only rule on what's.
Yeah, I'm aware, but you can call your constituents and tell them to go ahead and send a. All you have to do is file the case.
File a lawsuit, right?
Yeah, you just tell one of your homies to file a lawsuit. You don't even have to tell them. Your homies already know. As soon as they got in 6-3, as soon as Trump appointed the last one, they started going. The lawsuit started going because they know they got the Supreme Court on their side. And it'll happen the other way too. But it makes me wondering if they're figuring right now is the time to do abortion because Biden's already lost. It's not going to kill our chances. I have a feeling that's what's happening.
Wait, let me say something for y'all real quick. And we're going to dig deeper in this because, see, yes, I am. I got the Elon Musk effect. Yes, I am. I would say Democrat, but the liberals are going pretty far, and it's hard for me to keep up, I guess, with everything. So I would say we got 2 Democrats on here, 2 Republicans. When we look at Joe Biden's term, and I'll go back to you, Genghis, because you said it. What are the things that Joe Biden has done that you would say has been a failure? His presidency has been a failure.
Afghanistan has been an abject failure. The war, as far as the war on the fossil fuel industry, he doesn't say much about it now, but 18 months ago he would literally say, we're going to wage war on the fossil fuel industry. The shutting off of the pipeline. It just keeps going. His inability to use it's his inability to use the bully pulpit. He completely is inept at using the bully pulpit, which that's what Trump would do. Trump would wake up at 2 a.m. and be like, Ford better not move them factories out the country. I'm going to come for that ass. And then all of a sudden, Ford wouldn't move the factories out the country. Biden doesn't do that. Like they're talking about this gas tax holiday. This was floated months ago. This I don't know if you guys are getting anything in your state. I'm getting $750. Colorado's giving us $750 to help with gas. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. It's excess money, excess tax money. It's basically our money anyway, COVID money, things of this nature. So months ago, Jen Psaki, they're asking her, they say, hey, well, they floated the idea, or like, what are you guys going to do about these gas prices? She goes, well, what do you want us to do? Just send everybody gas cards? And made a joke out of it. And then 2 weeks later, they come up with, oh, well, maybe we'll send some people some money. Well, that's a gas card. That's the same thing that they were just making fun of you about in the thing. You know what I mean? That you were just dismissing. And so all the decisions that the Biden administration have made have come way too late. It wasn't necessarily that he made the bad decision, it is that he just wringed his hands for months and months and months. And now gas is $6 a gallon. And now they're going to send us in August. We're going to get some money in August. You know what I mean?
Now, Amador, we'll let you speak. And your pick. Well, I mean, and I'll touch on it as well. When I look at Joe Biden, the shining light that I could say, because he's done a lot of things that are questionable for real. There's a lot of bad things, but the shining light is I do support how, and I say this gingerly because I could be wrong. I'm not super into it, but he has been. Looks like he's been supporting Ukraine in this conflict. I think, that's pretty nice, but also, I don't know. Amador, give me your opinion. How do you think Biden has done in his term as a Democratic person?
I'm not even Democratic, bro. I'm not Democratic. I'm not Republican. Yeah. I don't give a rat's ass. The left or the right wing, it's attached to the same fucking bird. There's not a single president you can look down and not find the good and the bad and the nitpick and all that stuff. I don't really give a shit. As a matter, if it was up to me, I'd say get rid of everybody. I'm tired of these 60-something-year-olds that are not going to be around for the next 10 fucking years dictating what the hell my future and the future of my kids are going to be. That's my thing. In regards to the Supreme Court, because I was going to mention this earlier because of what Kelly was mentioning, they're not elected officials. They're not people that I chose to represent me or you chose or anybody. They're just people that were chosen just to be chosen. Your boy hooked you up. That's it. That's all it comes down. And then you have these people, and yeah, they did open the floodgates because all they're doing is just testing the water to see what they can and cannot get away with. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to presidencies, like, I don't agree with a lot of them. Yeah, fuck Joe Biden, fuck Trump, fuck everybody. You're always gonna find goods and bads. There's never been a pristine golden age presidency. Every country has always had like a golden age of revolution on shit. We've never had that. And if we did, it was before our time. We can't nitpick what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of bad shit going on, and it's really fucked up. I feel like at the end of the day, like, we just need like just overall better reform. Maybe, I don't know, get some representation about things that we give a shit about. Like I made that joke earlier about like wear that NASCAR suit with the labels, because at the end of the day, we already know at this point that these politicians they're not taking our interests to heart. They're taking their companies, the lobbyists' points of views and what they're getting paid. That's why you see all this crazy shit that's going on. When was the last time they passed a bill that you were like, hell yeah, this made my life a lot better. This made my life a lot easier. Tell me. I'm being dead ass. I'm asking everybody here. Like, when was the last time a politician passed some shit and you're like, hell yeah, my mortgage went down, my cost of living went down, my wages went up. When was the last time that your overall life was improved by some shit that the government did on anyone's behalf?
Nothing besides outside of executive orders. Executive orders lately have, I guess, in the last 20 years, brought more weight. But no bills, that's for sure, because they're filled with pork. It's too much. Too much in different places, and not to where it needs to go.
Exactly, and like Eric said, yeah, it's great that we're supporting Ukraine, and yeah, I get it. I get the gist of it, but I don't agree that right now is not the time to be sending money somewhere else when we all clearly need it at home. And everybody's been saying this for years now. Years. Since before Ukraine. Since we were in war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all those places. We've been saying, why don't we spend this money on our infrastructures at home? This is shit that's been going on for 20 years, and when was the last time you saw change? Like, genuine, positive change. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my 2 cents. Like, in regards to it, I feel like we just need to take a look at it, rewire some things. Maybe reduce the age of like how old you can be to serve, how long you can be to serve. The fact that some of these people have been in power, because that's the truth. They have been in power before I was even born. I was born in 1988. Some of these people have been serving since the 70s or early 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just my 2 cents in the matter. Because at the end of the day, like, hell, I mean, we got other countries out there saying that they're literally running programs and aids to try to help us. Hell, China just put up to the UN about freaking humanitarian violations. China.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
China apparently sent something to the UN about the United States violating human rights in regards to school shootings.
This is most likely a response. The only reason that China would do that is because we accuse them of some human rights violations.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only
absolutely.
reason. Yeah,
no, I agree. I agree full-heartedly with you. I know that's just them just taking their crack at us because we're taking their cracks at them. Nobody from across the world likes to be told, like, hey, what I can and cannot do in my own home. You know, I get that. But I just think it's funny. It's turned into, like, just a massive dick-swinging joke.
Right. Kelly, you give your take on that, too, as well? Just about Joe Biden's presidency?
I mean, it's really it truly is a remnants of what you read in the history books about Carter. You know, it's kind of like a walking history lesson for in some aspects with the stagflation. You know, I don't think we're at the point yet where we even need to start thinking about alternating days or whatever with the gas lines at the gas pumps. But, you know, it's definitely hitting everybody in the pocket every single day. And it's an impact that they feel right at that level where it's not, there's no buffer for it. As soon as you put your card in to get that gas, and it's going to trickle, because then you're going to be thinking about, okay, well, here's a signal, here's an indicator. What's my bread like right now? You know, what's a gallon of milk? How much chicken is on my store? And you can start then taking, in account for yourself, hey, what is the actual landscape of what's going on right now? And make your decision. Right now, I mean, there's some pain points. Economy hasn't crashed, thankfully. So, you can't really say that it's, fire in a hell basket, basically. It's more or less just, like Gangs was saying earlier, just pretty simple decisions that I think both sides would have come to an agreement very quickly on, even in just everyday social settings, that the hands just, they got sat on. And Republicans are known for doing that. So if you got a Democrat president sitting on his hands, things are going to be coming a day late and a dollar short every single time.
Right.
And so something's going to give at that point. Maybe a fresher Democrat lineup comes in on the back end of his term and boosts it up. Maybe a Republican Congress comes in on the back half and just completely kneecaps them. But that's why election years, that we're starting to see now what the election narrative is going to be shaped by.
Right.
And what and now it'll be, okay, where do they fall in importance? Is this still number one on everybody's mind? Is this number 3 now? Mm-hmm. But November it'll be here before we know it. And then it'll be gone, and then things will die down in April. And then we got 2024, and that'll be
right. Well, I'm gonna say this, man. Like I say, all of y'all make such knowledgeable points, and like I said, have different opinions, and everybody's respectful. This is what it's all about. Another topic I wanted to touch on, which we could get back to this if y'all have something to say, but how do you think we could stop these school shootings, man? Do we need to put armed guards? Do we need to arm the teachers? What is y'all's take on that? Because I know all of y'all are old enough that it affects us. Or if we don't have kids, we'll be having them shortly, probably. We'll start with Amador. I mean, what do you think is a solution that could possibly work with these public schools?
This is a conversation I've had a lot with a lot of different people. I have a 10-year-old. He's about to be in the 5th grade, and every single time I see something about mass shootings, it breaks my heart. You know, because it's sad that at the end of the day, the conversation is like, oh, what should the teachers do? What did the police do? Da, da, da. More like, do I need to buy a bulletproof vest to put into my backpack, son? You know, like, it's sad. Or the fact that I gotta watch YouTube video tutorials to see like what caliber, how many books it takes to stop a certain caliber, and the kind of drills that I have to individually teach my son about, like, hey, you may have to smear blood on yourself to like pretend like your friend's blood on your face, so you can pretend you're dead, so that you can live to see another day. We can sit here and just be like, yeah, we need stricter gun laws. Yeah, we need this or all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like, is it really going to change anything? The question is, because I don't know. I'm not a politician. You know, I am a gun owner. I keep my guns in a safe. I got a AR, a hunting rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun. And I keep everything behind lock and key. And I teach my son, I bought my son a BB gun so I can teach him proper gun control and gun safety before I move him up to a real caliber. But, you know, I have yet to hear anybody come up with a legitimate argument. Like, yeah, we need stricter gun laws. Okay, but what does that entail?
Right.
Not just mental health and all this stuff, because at the end of the day, if you need a gun, you're going to find a goddamn gun. You know what I mean? Like, we live in a country where, like, there's more guns than people. So yes, fine, make it stricter and harder for them to buy guns in gun stores, but is that really gonna fix it? You know, because felons can't get guns, but yet they have access to firearms. They find a way. So my question is like, what is a genuine, legitimate argument or like safe line or safety line to like actually make it happen? Because the Uvaldes, the police were there, they didn't do shit.
And had the equipment too, so it's not like they can get funded to have more training or more equipment. They were fully capable to get it done.
Exactly. They had them outgunned, outmanned, out equipment, out everything, and that still happened. Before, this is the first time that this has happened where like the police had a chance to actually intervene in a good amount of time, and it didn't happen. Arming the teachers, like, imagine going to work and being told you have to do something that that's not what you were there to do. You're there to teach, expand minds, raise the youth, all that stuff. Hey, take this gun. And then the counter argument to that is like, well, who's to say that his teacher won't snap and he would be the person,
right,
or they would be the person that will just be like, yo, you know what, straight up, fuck them kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's no
putting more fuel into the pot of S is never the answer.
Yeah, so I like I said, I have yet to hear the only valid argument that or not argument, but the only thing that I can personally do as a parent right now is just train my kid and unfortunately arm him up better, you know. But at the same time, it's like my kid can get killed at school, or we can get killed at the shopping center just because I wanted to go to Publix. Mm-hmm. You know, like who's really safe at this point in this country when it comes to that?
That's true.
Yeah, honestly, that you're on the right track though, because good information and good knowledge will always allow somebody in a situation to avoid a situation too. So if your son knows about guns and stuff like that, and everyone does, think even and have the laws still on the books, I think that would be a way to combat it. Does it eliminate it? Probably not. I don't, you know, there's some zero issue solutions.
Right.
But if you can get more people knowledge at an early age, especially.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great enough, but I mean, these are the victims. Right. What's a victim to do with knowledge about how a firearm works? They're the ones getting shot at. Like, just because I know what caliber, how it works, and all that stuff is not going to stop that bullet from penetrating me.
Absolutely, you're right.
You know, my thing is more of like, I got to keep that shit away from my kid and let him know that he can't just come home and be like, yo, check this shit out, yo. I got that Call of Duty, and my dad got that scope on it from that game. It's like, no, I don't. I want to teach him proper etiquettes about that. But at the end of the day, that doesn't save him from just some random bozo kicking down the door and just rat-a-tat-tat, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's I mean, and it's why it's probably going to be in the forefront for even a number of years on the national narrative now. It's a tricky thing.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky.
Because you're playing with too many precious things, and even now we have the situation where you have everything that you were thought that you were missing out, that you messed up on all the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
and now you had everything, and you still and it still didn't get taken care of.
Right. Yeah.
So it's crazy. I mean, and there's a lot of other issues that are kind of rolling into that like kind of spiral where okay, we've given money, we've given training, we've given X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Same problems come up every on 4 to 8 year cycles.
I want to touch on something real quick that I pulled up here on the computer. 1989, DeShaney versus Winnebago County. The U.S. Supreme Court has also ruled that police have no specific obligation to protect.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we learned that real quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They don't have to. Another thing I was going to touch on was the Jimmy Carter comment. The similarities between Carter keep going. You can find speeches where he literally blamed the oil companies. This is the oil company's fault. They're the one engaged. I mean, it's the same all the way down. The same thing. Okay, well, we're going to relieve the gas tax. The same thing Biden's talking about doing now. That didn't work. He's doing the exact same things that Carter did. And at least people liked Carter. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was a nice guy, at least.
Yeah, but at the same time, if there was social media back then, he probably would have gotten a few comments too.
That's a good point.
On the way down, especially being from all the way down there in South Georgia. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Different time, different mindset.
Yeah. Right. Who was it? Lyndon B. Johnson said he claimed his opponent was made an allegation that he did incestuous behavior with an animal just so that he could hear the guy decline it. And now just imagine if that was just on a newspaper article.
Right.
Imagine that, but it Twitter sphere at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday.
And also what Amador talked about, the way that he was raising his children around the guns. I grew up around a National Guardsman, right? He wasn't my father. He was my best friend's father, like my Ace Deuce's father, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a closet full of guns in the front room. You could see them. We'd be sitting there playing video games, and you could see them. They're right there.
Right.
And we learned how to shoot them the same way. BB guns first, 22, 410 gauge, and started going up the way, right? By the time we were like 12, we could pretty much shoot whatever we wanted to. We knew how.
Right.
And he made sure of it. And you knew that if you did anything inappropriate with them guns, it was going to be bad for everybody involved. And he was going to take them away, and we loved playing with them.
Right.
So we knew we were on our best behavior. So that is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Do not let your kids be ignorant about guns.
No, absolutely not.
Fully versed, they should be able to field strip something by the time they're like 10. Yeah, that's you're doing that is the way to do it.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you never shot anything up besides just
hell no.
There you go. See?
Hell no.
Right.
Hell no. I ain't no.
No, see, that's the thing.
Tremendous, man. Tremendous. Now, how much I know, like nowadays, we all are relatively young people. How much because this mental health aspect, it's been focused a lot recently. Back in the day, did they talk about mental health a lot? I can't remember really when they would. Okay, this is kind of okay. How much do y'all think that plays a part in this, or do you think they're overblowing it and it's just bad people out here? Like,
I think that the mechanisms that we have set up in society that are set up to maximize profit have unintended consequences. And one of these seems to be the psychological derision of a certain set of the population. We know this from Jonathan Haidt's work from New York University, Dr. Jonathan Haidt. really focused on young girls, because all of a sudden around 2010, the amount of young women not reporting, they talk about, oh, people are just more comfortable talking about their problems. We're not talking about reports. We're talking about young women who showed up at the hospital with physical injuries they had done to themselves. Okay? It skyrockets in 2010. This is the invention of the like button. Okay? Things go downhill from there. Now we are starting to see the effects, and the weird thing is, we're actually starting to see the effects in the black community, where they were somewhat insulated, right? Because of the segregation of the country, they were more insulated from the problems. But as black folks get more money, as black Americans get more money and become richer and move up into the middle class, they're absorbing the problems that were predominantly in the white population. These type of psychological problems that we're talking about, right? So they're presenting the same behavior. They're starting to cut themselves in record numbers, self-harm, suicide. It wasn't as much of a problem. It didn't used to be as much of a problem in the black and Hispanic community. Suicide. It was like it was concentrated in the white community. That gap is starting to be bridged, right? So something that we're doing, something that this is not a problem in Afghanistan. This isn't a problem in Africa, right? Where they just got, you know what I mean? They just got a lot of these technologies. So something has happened in the Western industrialized world that is causing this. And I believe that these school shootings are an outgrowth of that. I don't know what exactly it is, but I have a feeling, and I'm a capitalist at heart, but I have a feeling it's a side effect of capitalism, some sort of side effect of the psychological atmosphere that is created for us through the screens and the world around us.
That's interesting.
Beautiful put, yeah.
The only question is that if they're really that mentally ill to the point where they are suicidal, they would not need to go into a classroom or take people with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the interesting part, because they just like to chalk it up to mental health, or their favorite scapegoat before mental health was blaming video games. You know,
Music.
they're like, yeah, music. First it was rock and roll, then it was hip hop, then it was rap, then it was video games, and now it's like, oh, now it's a mental health thing. But it's like, okay, what mental health? Because they're not depressed. Depressed people, I've had depression. You know what I wanted to do when I had a depression bout? Lay in bed all day, covered in a blanket. I never wanted to load up my AR and walk into my local shop and be like, I am depressed, and now you're all gonna feel it.
Right.
You know, when I had my little bout, I just laid in bed and I didn't want to do a fucking thing. I just wanted to sleep for about 27, 24 hours, and I didn't want to hear from anything or anyone. But I never wanted to let anybody else know or feel that I was depressed. So the mental health thing, I feel, because at the end of the day, when you say mental health, it's such a vague spectrum. What are we talking about when we say mental health specifically? Because there's many things when it comes to mental health. They're just throwing a coin into a well, and it just sounds nice to people because they consider it new. Because like you said, now it's becoming more of a oh shit, mental health. But mental health has always been here. It's always been an issue. But now they're just finding a vague scapegoat without having to pinpoint exactly what it is, because they don't have an answer. But that's what I feel, at least when I hear people talking about it. Because being in the medical field, somebody says oh, they have mental health issue. Okay, which one? Which one are we talking about? Depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder? What are we talking about exactly? You know, there's a huge spectrum of mental disorders, but they don't say any of these things. They just mental health, and we're all just supposed to be like, another one for mental health. God damn it! You know what I'm? That's what it feels like. They just want to give you a generic answer so that you can just be like, son of a bitch, got us again. That's not how that works.
I wish you were wrong, bro. I wish you were. I wish you were.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's come down to. Because like we mentioned earlier, before it was rock and roll, hip hop, rap. They always had to find an escape and something that was, once again, very vague. because people didn't understand it. So they're just using something that people don't truly understand to use it as a means to not have to explain what exactly we're dealing with. Because when you don't have enough information about it, you just have to be like, we're still trying to figure it out. And just use that as more of like biding your time. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a washed over term. I think it's also more behavioral. And it's because because of our age and the social media aspect of it, you're able to see more of these behaviors. And I think it's also a big part on the media blasting the names and putting it out everywhere. As soon as it happens, it's the guy's face, wherever all these times this has happened, just put and blast it out you're going to find people that are going to find idolization for that person and that acts. It's just in a sheer society, there's always going to be a number one, whatever it may be, that will adhere to that in some way, somehow. But if you don't blast it all over the place, you can start combating it there. Mm-hmm. And then when you start whitewashing, you're not even not causing, you're not helping the problem. You're causing to it, because then people will just start categorizing everything in that manner. But everything can just get pushed to the side, and okay, well, we'll just push it. It's this term, boom. It's bringing everybody to one single point and leaving them there.
If you think about that, okay, mental illness is just a set of behaviors. It's just a manifest set of behaviors. That's all mental illness. There's no blood draw that says, oh, you're a schizophrenic. It's that you manifest 6 behaviors, mm-hmm. all in the same areas. Behaviors, emotions, things that are jittery, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? I don't think behaviors is the exact word, but it's just a set of things that you manifest. Okay, that puts you in this box. So by definition, whenever a mother walks into the school and starts dusting people, he's exemplifying a behavior that automatically makes him mentally ill. Mm-hmm. They've created a situation to funnel them right back into it. If you don't have depression, you exemplify a set of, you sleep too damn much, you ain't got no energy, you know what I mean? It's a set of things, right? Mm-hmm. So they've just created a situation. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, he went left. Well, clearly he was mentally ill, because nobody who wasn't mentally ill would have manifested those behaviors.
Right.
Can't argue with that.
Right. Now, I will say, growing up, and I grew up in the South, so maybe it might have been a little different if y'all grew up in different areas, but when you did some crazy-ish, it was no excuse. You was getting beat by your parents. I mean, I remember guys that would be thinking that they could act crazy in school, and their parents would come to the school and whoop them right in front of all of us. Do y'all believe that? Do y'all believe that the way everything's getting rolled back, should we just give parents the freedom to just handle it themselves? You know, we're giving the power back to the states. Should we just give the power back to the parents and just go whoop his ass? I don't know. Like, give me y'all's perspective. Because I've heard. Go ahead. I've heard parents say their hands are tied. I don't have kids, so I don't know. But is it true that parents' hands are tied and it's like it's a free for all? I mean, you tell me. Go ahead.
I'll let anybody who has a kid speak on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've physically disciplined my son before, yeah. But now that he's older, it's easier to discipline him because I can just take away his shit. No YouTube, no video games, no nothing. And he's just like, oh, no, bro. Oh, no, bro. It's like, hey, I want to go outside and play with my friends. Did you do your homework? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. But, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword because, like, some people are like, they don't want to see growing up in Cuba, the teacher can discipline you. Mm. And, like, the teacher can spank you. And guess what? And then when your mom showed up or your dad showed up and they found out that you were spanked and you got in trouble, then you got a second ass whooping. Woo! Yeah. So you get disciplined by the teacher in front of your classmates, and then you get your ass beat as everybody was walking out. And then guess what? All the parents are looking at that parent like, that's right. And then they would look at their kids like,
You see?
that's gonna be you. You better behave. So that's the thing about that. But I've heard a lot of arguments from different parents and teachers from different areas. Not someone that I've talked to specifically, because I don't know that many teachers. But like sometimes parents don't want teachers to do certain things in classrooms, and then sometimes parents expect teachers to do certain things in classroom. So it's like we gotta come to a solid understanding, so we kind of have an idea. Because like some parents will lose their fucking minds if teachers discipline the kids. And then they'll demand that this teacher be removed or they be reprimanded. And then their kid behaves like shit. And they're like, well, you're the teacher. Why don't you handle it? Like they want a hands-off approach. They don't want to do anything. So it's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to discuss and like pinpoint, because everybody's different. Like me personally, I don't mind if the teacher calls me and lets me know. Because like shit's very modernized now. Like I have an app on my phone that the teacher has with all the parents. And they let us know, like, hey, this is the report. That we get report cards via email. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no hiding that shit anymore. So there's no hiding that shit. I'm dead ass. You ain't hiding that shit no more. Like, but at the same time, like if something happened, like the teacher will text us, and both my wife and I, and she'll be like, listen, he's behaving like this, and I'm gonna give him the chance to explain himself. And if he acts like nothing happened, then we're gonna bring it up.
Right. Give me just a second, Amador.
Mm-hmm.
We got Keith Force in here. He said, but it all depends. Some people's mental health is in a more severe state than a regular, just depressed person, and everybody does not handle being depressed the same. He says, and I think there needs to be a more open conversation about mental health when you're schizophrenic, when you have paranoia, when you have social anxiety. It's complex. He says someone can literally be mentally unstable and kill you and not even mean to kill you, but have voices in their head telling them to murder you. More resources need to be available.
Absolutely. That's 100% true. But that's somebody who knows what their diagnosis is, and they may have missed their medication, or they ran out of medication, or they missed. It's crazy how medication works in regards to these kind of things, because if they just so much as miss the medication by a couple of hours or something like that, that little voice in the back of their head just creeps up enough to be like, you don't need that shit, or you already took it, you're good. And these are things that are very real. He is absolutely correct. But do you know how hard it is to sit down and successfully diagnose and test every single individual? That takes time, a lot of time, and a lot of money. And I agree with him. Yeah, it needs to be a very serious, open conversation, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how much are we willing to fund this and how much are we willing to participate. It's not just about funding, it's about participation, because you got to get your business out there. Not a lot of people are willing to just be like, oh yeah, I have these thoughts, or yeah, I behave like this, because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be looked differently or treated differently. But he makes a very valid point. He's 100% correct.
Any of y'all have any? See, me from like the country, I feel like we never had any of these cases. It was like everybody was kind of like grabbing sticks and chopping wood. It's like, do y'all think that, like Gangish talked about, the more urban the area and the more technology you have, does it corrupt the mind to where maybe you fall ill to these anxiety issues and stuff? Because country people, we really, I saw some people go through depression. That's one I saw a lot of. But the voices in your head, if they didn't tell us they had voices, if they did, are those real things that people are going through that we just don't talk about much?
I don't know if it corrupts your mind. It may reform it in a way, because you're now the reality is, I'm speaking to you guys where you guys are sitting and having the same exact conversation as if we were all sitting in the same room together. So it changes the reality. It's forming it in a different way. Does it corrupt it? I think you probably need a little bit more external stimuli or whatever to start that corruption process, because it's just a change, because we're in different rooms and maybe have different views. We're not at each other's throats, right? But we don't use this buffer as it's not, the process is still not corrupted. It's just changed. So if you focus on just the change and the benefits of new technology, but if you allow it to just go gung ho for profits, like Genghis was saying earlier, that you needed something else to be introduced to start corrupting a process. The process itself just can't just start being corrupted yet.
Wow.
That's kind of like a fickle thing, because that's no different than telling, when do we determine that your imaginary friend is no longer imaginary?
Whenever you say it's not.
But what if they never leave, and they one of the things about psychological effects is that this thing is convincing you that it is you.
Right. And I think that's mental health is, not to go backwards, but mental is more or less probably something neurological, like a misfire of some sort that is not registering, so that the behaviors can't manifest where, I guess, society would ideologically want it to be.
Yeah.
It's not, and the mental health, to whitewash it, you think it's that person telling themselves it's the voice. But like what you're saying is, it's there. It's just there for that person. So it's in order, if you just treat the symptom, you're never going to solve the problem.
Right. But like I said before, it comes down to a point where like that person has to admit that they have a problem. And that's where it gets tricky, because that voice is potentially convincing that person that this is no different than your consciousness speaking to you and just helping you, guide you on decisions that you need to make.
Right.
It's a very fickle thing, but it comes down to like people coming forward and being like, I don't think this is right. Can I talk to somebody about this? And, and at the end of the day, like, there's parts of the mind that we still don't know how they function.
And that we don't even probably use.
Exactly. So, there's a lot of things that still need to be done more research on, but, you need willing participants to conduct these researches.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I want to weigh in real quick. So historically, these people had a place in society. They were called the mad. I mean, in England and Europe, they were just the mad, and they had a purpose, and the society took care of them. They were just taken care of. Now we went a little worse with this, and I actually have a personal experience. I was in a prison called Buena Vista, Colorado, that was built in 1865. And it was built as a child's reformatory. It was for children. It's in Buena Vista, Colorado. It's like 9,000 feet in the air. It's in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. And it was built for children that were extremely violent and were incorrigible, or ones who had Down syndrome, ones who had mental illness and could not be taken care of. And so they would take them and put them in the cells in this dungeon in the middle of the mountains, right? Now, eventually it became too much. Too many bad things happened out there, and they shut it down. And then eventually they opened it back up as a prison, because it's a really good prison and it's isolated from everything and it's really hard to escape from. But in America, up until, not too long ago, we really took crazy, violent people and just locked them away. So that's why this wasn't going on before. If you couldn't be taken care of by your parents, if you were really that wild, because think about it, 100 years ago, it wasn't like now where F you, bitch, in the Walmart and all that, talking to his mom. There wasn't none of that. You do that one time, you're gone. Like 100 years ago, you're going to get the crap kicked out of you by your parents. And if you do it again, you might be out the house. And they would. They would send you to get him out of here. They'd call the state, get him out of here. I can't take care of it. You know what I mean? So
right.
I wanted to touch on a couple things. We talked about disciplining children just from a scientific fact. Not a scientific fact. That's a psychological perspective. Anytime you put your hands on your children, you're failing to negotiate. And you're resorting to violence. This is gonna hinder your child's IQ. This is one of the only ways we know to bring a child's IQ lower is to hit them or starve them of either food or starve them of stimulation. You know what I mean? Keeping them in a closet, things like this. These are the only things you can do to bring a child's lower. Now, there is also a distinction between disciplining your child and beating someone that is vulnerable, being brutal towards somebody who cannot defend themselves.
I agree.
You know what? There's a whooping, you know what I mean, on the backside, and then there's taking advantage of a power dynamic. You know what I mean? To gratify whatever messed up feelings you have in your head. And the child will know the distinction. And I know this because that man who was in the National Guard with them guns, he whooped me. He wasn't related to me at all. He whooped me. And I had it coming. And I love that man. To this day, I love that man. I went and saw him a couple years back in California. He still lives in the California hills. Awesome dude. He sells jelly on the side of the road in Mendocino County in front of his house. He got the plot of land, goes out to the front, and a huge white beard sits on the corner and sells jelly, makes a living. I swear to God, he's cool as shit, man. He's cool. He used to build us huge forts. He would build us like trench works and forts out of pallets, dog. Build huge forts out of pallets. We'd have 2- and 3-story forts. And he'd take them down like twice a year and then build them into a new shape.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was dope.
Yeah.
So there's a distinction there. One other thing, this just seems to be mental health seems to be a luxury that comes along with wealth, because you will still see extreme mental health problems, say in Africa, but the vast majority of Africa needs to work, like Coach Coney was talking about. They don't have time for that. So little psychological problems get squashed, or they find a way to manifest in unharmful ways. You know what I mean? Maybe you do something weird, but you've got to work all day. You've got to worry about surviving and taking care of your kids, right? So the little problems tend to get suppressed and pushed out and just worked into the ground. And then the big problems, obviously, there is still mass shootings in Africa. There's, crazy things still happen in Africa. These problems still happen in Africa too. But affluence really seems to exacerbate mental health for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it has something to do with work.
Let me ask you this. Since you said that mental health is a luxury, do you think it's because the modern day American has too much free time on their hands or too much distractions?
I would say both, a combination. If you have time and then you use that in a distraction manner. Because we definitely have a plethora of both.
Now, I'm gonna touch on something for y'all. Staying on this topic, Kelly. Like I said, me and Kelly played college football together. It could be the physical aspect as well, because Kelly, during college football season, we didn't ever see it much mental health issues. We were just worried about 2-a-days, the heat, practice. Our schedule was like that.
Right.
And as soon as the off season hit, we got a
problem.
Explain that, Kelly. Y'all don't know Kelly. He's a college football star, QB man. Explain what that is about. Go ahead.
I don't know, man, because it's crazy. You're right. You go from it's a locker room, and then in spring ball comes around, and there's a damn psychiatric clinic.
Yeah.
God, I think Genghis is right on the ball, though.
Yeah, Genghis.
We as humans, we have the innate desire to survive and work towards surviving. When you get into an affluent state and you're not focusing on those issues either as hard or as frequently, you're going to think about other stuff. You may sit back and chill. But when distractions start being entered and then become normalized and then become hypersensitized, that's when you start seeing the disconnect of, okay, my body's telling me I need to be doing something right now, but I don't know what to do, and I'm just on, the phone, or I'm just watching, the streaming or whatever. It's definitely it's a 1-2 punch. It's a good combo. I think both of them could do enough damage by themselves. You just have too much time. You get lazy as hell. You don't do anything, and your health goes bad. Your physical health goes bad, probably more than your mental. But if you're still doing stuff, but it's off any sort of what you're tangibly needing innately, that disconnect is going to start throwing everything off whack. You're going to be like, well, start jittering around and stuff.
Right. And Amador, same with you. The same as Kelly. We was in the Navy together.
Yeah.
Man, you take some crazy motherfuckers and put them in boot camp and give them physical activity and give them a purpose. These guys end up some of the best guys we've ever met. I mean, Amador, if you would have met me before boot camp, I'm a total different guy than when I felt, okay, I'm making money. I feel good about myself. I'm exercising every day. Physical exercise could play a part in all this as well. Like I was saying with Kelly, it's no different than the military and sports. I play both sides. Every day in the military, we running in the morning. Every day in sports, we running in the morning. You got a group of fellas. We in the locker room. We all stink. We all talking about women and drinking and party. It's like we all got that one-track mind. And when you isolate people and they're not working out and they're watching crazy philosophies online, that's when you get the people that are out of their mind, in my opinion. What do you think about that, Albert? You being a military person in your own, do you feel like people just need to find something to occupy their time with this rise of quote unquote crazy people, or do you think it's people are born crazy? So basically, can you create crazy, or do people born crazy? Can people be born as a school shooter? What is your thoughts on that? Like, is it destiny for some of these guys? Like, that's what I mean.
I don't doubt that you can be born with mental issues. There are things that are hereditary, and then there are things that happen throughout your life that can lead you down a certain path. We've all had trauma. We've all handled trauma differently. That's just the nature of the beast. Growing up, you weren't allowed to express emotions. You weren't allowed to feel sad. You weren't allowed to be like, fuck. You weren't allowed to because at the end of the day, the conversation would be like, yo, listen, your cousins in Cuba, your family in Cuba, they're starving, they're going hungry. You have nothing to complain about. You have every opportunity in the world. So it's one of those I guess so, but you never really talk or handle the issue. You're just kind of like, I guess things could be worse. But at one point, do you let that tumor grow to a point where it just kills you? Does that make sense? Right. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, being physically active is great, but at the end of the day, depression, like I said earlier, it physically drains you just as much as it running 3 miles drains you. You don't want to do shit. You don't want to be active. You don't want to socialize. You shut down mentally, and when you shut down mentally, the body goes with it. Does that make sense? Because, like you said, we would wake up at 4 a.m, muster, standing formation, and that hot ass.
We all got a bad attitude.
We all mad as fuck because we know we got a long ass day ahead of us, and then we got to sit in the classroom and get PowerPoint to death. It like you said, it breeds a different kind of beast. Some people thrive in that chaos, and some people don't. We saw how many people did we know that didn't make it past the first P days of boot camp?
That's fact.
How many people went to sleep the first night crying? Because I heard them.
Yeah.
I was in my rack and I just hear sobbing, and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to go to bed, bro. I haven't slept in 72 hours. Shut the fuck up.
Same thing as Kelly. 2 days. How many people left 2 days?
Yeah.
I was just about to ask. Do you have the midnight train in boot camp? Is that something that crosses over when it goes in the military? Because in our quote unquote boot camp, that midnight train was running out every single night.
Explain the midnight train to people that don't know.
Midnight train is you go to dinner, right? You go to your final meeting and you see everybody, and check-ins 11 o'clock, lights out.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We had that too. Yeah. Lights out.
And then at 6 a.m. whenever you go to breakfast, you're like, yo, where's so-and-so? Took the midnight train.
They cracked out.
got up out of it one day, one practice. Done.
Same thing at boot camp.
Yeah. Boot camp and A school, like some people couldn't cut it. Like they were just like, yo, this isn't for me. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. And it's like, yo, you kind of survived the worst part of it. Like, you have a little bit more freedom now.
Brought up a good thing where, you know, some people thrive in it, some people don't. You know, that sink or swim deal. Before I went to play with Eric, I was at big school. I wasn't playing ball, and I was not thriving whatsoever. But having that structure of the foundation of having to play football and go to school and still maintain and be up on all my shit to make sure that I'm not falling behind, that it made me thrive. I've seen other guys that came in the same situation, didn't play, came in, and they were like, I'm going back to the beach. You know, it's just pick your poison sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll let Gangers talk. Gangers, with your time that you spent incarcerated, did guys that had a routine and guys that had a workout routine, did that help them mentally, or did you have a workout routine yourself that maybe helped you cope mentally?
I was a gym rat, the pretty much the whole time, but it had a lot to do with politics. It had to do a lot to do with politics in that prison that I got to, Buny. Some of these people were like, okay, I didn't realize they weren't hostile at the time, but you'd see black dudes that were bench pressing 500 pounds, and there'd be a whole clique of them, like 4 of them working out together. They look like professional football players, mean-looking motherfuckers, right? I just got to prison. They see me, I'm a young white boy, they ain't got nothing to say. You know what I mean? I mean, we share the weight room or whatever. Not going to work out together, but I mean, you know, it's cordial. But that's about it. Now, I know now, after doing all my time, I could have talked to them dudes and we could have chopped it up, but I didn't know how to approach the situation. And I was intimidated. They were huge. These dudes were huge. It was literally, I was 18 years old. And these dudes looked like professional athletes, you know? And that shocked me. And I was like, nah, we're not going to do this. I'm going to compete because I like to compete. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and see what I can do. You know what I mean? So I started lifting. I jumped in the car with some of the homies and started lifting and doing my thing. But everybody has a routine in prison. Now, what their routine is, what their trip is, you never know. I got a homeboy who quilts blankets. He sells blankets for like $300 a pop. Takes him 2-3 weeks to make one. Sits in his room and quilts blankets and drinks Diet Coke all day. That's all he does. His hands split open until he bleeds because he refused to drink water. And he's in there knitting all day, drinking Diet Coke. You know what I mean? So some people are perverts, and their whole is just to cruise around and try to find where the women are, the female guards are, and then make inappropriate comments, and they'll end up in the hole, and then they'll do it again. You know what I mean? They'll do it again. Some people. Their whole trip is whenever a female guard gets on and there's count time and there's a female guard counting, they'll get butt naked. There's people who just do that randomly, and they'll go to the hole and get out, and they'll be cool for a couple months, and then they'll start jiving again with population. You know what I mean? They'll get their little job, and you'll see them on a poker table. Maybe they're doing this, and then they did it again. He pulled out his dick in front of the guard.
Oh, hey.
You know what I mean? I'm serious. There's a whole bunch of people who work out all the time. So everybody finds something. Everybody finds something to do. You're going to find your niche. And you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's interesting. Oh, guys, y'all all got free time? Y'all anybody burn out? Let me know. We've been on here about 2 hours.
About 2 hours. Yeah, I gotta get signed up.
All right.
Yeah.
But I
gotta walk my dog.
Yeah, I appreciate you allowing me to come on. It was great talking with you guys, fellas, meeting you.
Hold on. Somebody said, hold on, before you go, who is Tweezy? You out of here. Tweezy said, not comeback Kelly. Not 4th and 10 Kelly. Tweezy, I don't know who you are. I know you was on our team probably. Oh, boy. Tweezy out of here. I'm not sure who that is, but they just commented. But, yeah, guys, we'll wrap it up. I'm not going to do you like that, guys. You've been doing it for 2 hours. This is my first live stream, really. I had a tremendous time hearing all these different perspectives. And like we say, I pointed out each one of y'all individually because even though y'all might lean a certain way, all of y'all are very level-headed, and I knew we could have a logical Antoine Harper. That's who gets here.
Oh, what's up, Swan?
Big John.
Hey, you're talking about bodybuilding. I see what Twan's been doing lately. He's even bigger than playing days.
Big Twan.
Big swole.
But yeah, hey, I handpicked each one of y'all. I'm sure I'll be able to bring some more people like Big Twan on. He's level-headed as well. But I knew we could have an honest dialogue, and we did. I knew we could be respectful, and we did that as well. And I knew we could find a few solutions. And that's what I like, is each one of you are solution oriented. Y'all don't just state the problem. Y'all say how I would fix it if I was in power. So I 100% appreciate y'all coming on, man. We'll do it again. Signing off, Kelly, can you say one more thing to the young guys watching? And I'll go down the list of each one of y'all. Maybe y'all could give some closing words.
I just want to say, right now it's a crazy, each day it kind of seems crazier and crazier, but the way to change, and it's gonna fall on the men of the next generation. It really is. And it's gonna get to a point where I believe the good men, the great leaders, are gonna end up having to be forced into situations to lead. It's not gonna be this person was elected to lead, or this person became the CEO to lead. It's really gonna be a change. So anybody listening that is a little bit younger, or is definitely in the mind frame of where do we go from here, and just find your principles, lean on those principles, and then surround yourself with people who have those same principles. And right there, you're gonna have a great head start, at least, to combat anything that can come at you. So appreciate you having me on. You fellas, great to talk with you. Great to meet with you. Hope we can do it again soon. You let me know, and I'll be talking to you guys soon.
Definitely will, Kelly. I'll holler at you, man.
All right.
Adalberto, veteran, friend, family member of mine. Man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, bro.
You tell the young guys something. You got a little fan base, too, man. People ask about you all the time. They love how you speak. So go ahead and tell the people something you can give them, the young guys coming up, on just how you anything you could tell yourself at 20.
Just because you have a role model in your life doesn't mean they're going to understand your point of view. I harp on mental health because growing up, I didn't have a crutch for mental health. It was frowned upon to feel that kind of way. Seek help, man. You ain't no less of a man because you asking for help. You ain't no less of a man because you want to be better or you want to do better. Do it for yourself so you can do it for others. That's all I got to say. Regardless of how old you are, even if you're old head, it's never too late. Go get you some help. Go talk to someone. Feel good. Feel good about yourself. That way you can have a positive influence and a positive outlook with the people around you.
Right. Amazing, man. Signing off. Gangish, like I say, man, you've been through it all. You said 20, was it 15 years, 20 years you spent?
I did about 14 with juvenile. That's juvenile, though.
Okay. Anything you could tell people, like if you was telling your 20-year-old self something, maybe you could leave off with a message that might change somebody's life? Go ahead if you can.
When Joe Rogan, a bunch of Joe Rogan's episodes got taken off the air whenever he switched over to Spotify. And he had these episodes with a comedian named Joey Diaz. And Joey Diaz used to talk about something that his father would tell him. And it stuck with me for years. I haven't heard it for years because you haven't had access to the videos for years. His dad would tell him, justify your existence. So I think that there's probably something to that because I can remember the statement vividly from like 7 years ago. Justify your existence. That's it.
Right. Very simple.
I got episode 2 coming out today. Episode 2, Every Soul Shall Taste Death. I promise it's worth it. It's about to crack.
Gangish. I'm about to check that out myself. I got to go in there. His YouTube channel is Gangish.
Gangish. Gangish oyster sauce in parentheses oyster sauce. And the video premieres at 1 p.m. today.
There you go, guys. He's always in the comments. So if you look under my videos in the comment section, you can click his link down there too. Y'all can say Gangish. He has another one, Rocky Mount. Do you still post on Rocky Mount as well?
Not really. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it. Like I said, I ruined it and attracted a bunch of military personnel. And so,
Okay.
like, my whole audience is just military personnel that is, I'm pretty sure, just spying on me, thinking if I'm talking about Gonzalo Lira again.
Okay, no problem, no problem. All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you, Gangish, and like I said, I appreciate everybody else coming on. We're gonna try to do these at least once a week. I'm new to the StreamYard life, but I do enjoy it, and I'm sure Gangish enjoys it too. This is amazing, just to be able to have a platform like this where level-headed people can speak. So anyway, we're gonna get up out of here, y'all. This is the Coach Prunty podcast, and we out. Peace.